Hello, welcome to another episode of the Embody Method podcast. I'm actually recording this as a video podcast as well, so I can upload it to my YouTube channel, which I'm trying to do more with, but it's one of those things that just falls by the wayside. But anyway, it's officially summer, the sun is out, and hopefully you've been enjoying some absolute scorching weather wherever you might be. And, is this our summer, next few days? When's it going to end? Well, apparently it's going to be the weekend. I'm going to get a little bit of rain, especially up in Scotland. But anyway, I'm just enjoying the vitamin D, the brightness. Things just feel much better when it's sunny. I feel like I'm more productive. I want to do things. Although I've said that, and I've definitely the last couple of days, where it's just been a little bit extra hot, I felt kind of fatigued. Your energy does dip, but I've been loving some early morning walks, some late evening walks as well, and just that like smell, the holiday smell feels it's just lovely. So I hope you've been enjoying that too. And I wanted to talk about, I posted something on Instagram recently and I was wearing some shorts. And I'll just tell you that I hardly ever used to wear shorts, and I wear them a lot more now than I would have done before when I was a bit younger. And I would never have thought about going to the gym in shorts either. And I was very kind of self-conscious about that, getting caught up in, the fact whether you can see if I've got some cellulite at the back of my legs, are they too short? My legs look really small, the weird proportions, because you've got the mirrors, you're staring at yourself all the time. I've got little spider veins on my thighs. Have I missed a patch of hair when I was shaving? Probably. It happens all the time. The point of the post was about not getting caught up in how your legs look or how I looked in the shorts. Because actually what I was doing at the same time as wearing those shorts was back squatting over my body weight, which is pretty cool. I didn't know if I'd ever be at that stage, but I am. And actually, not to blow my own trumpet, but that was quite impressive. And you need to acknowledge these amazing things that your body can do rather than getting caught up in what our bodies are looking like. Because we're worth more than that. Like our worth is not defined by how you look a certain way, and is definitely something that we can get caught up in, and we focus on all those negatives rather than think about all the amazing things that you're doing day in, day out, whether it's at the gym or whether it's just, in your day-to-day life. And so since I posted that, I had a few women reach out and talk about their experience in shorts. And a lot of them said they've never felt confident in shorts. And actually someone said they didn't even own shorts because they would never wear them. They just don't have the confidence to put them on. And I just find that really sad. And I know there'll be lots of deep-rooted issues around that. And I'm not just saying, love yourself, wear the shorts, and you're suddenly going to wear them and feel amazing. Because it is a deep confidence issue, which does take time to work through. But on days like this, when it's absolutely roasting, the thought of people not feeling that they can get their legs out is really disheartening and sad, especially when it's bloody roasting. And that all comes down to, how society has imprinted what is normal on us. If you remember the Heat magazine Ring of Shame, little red circle, which would be follow around celebs, and there'd be like a red circle around a piece of cellulite on their leg when they're in their bikini or wearing a skirt or they're sitting down in a taxi or something. And that was something that, without a doubt has influenced how I see my body and how a lot of women my age and maybe a little bit older see other people's bodies too, because that was in our face of like, this isn't normal, look at this, let's make it a big circle so everyone can see. And I had a friend at school, and every Tuesday she loved Heat magazine, so that was her thing. Tuesday break time, she'd go to the shop and she'd get the Heat magazine, and then she'd read it, and then it would get passed around all the other girls and we'd get to see it too. So that, from a young age, what, like 12, 13, 14, seeing women being sort of victimized and all their imperfections pointed out in a really public forum must have been horrible for them, but also then it skews what you see as normal, because when you see cellulite you're like, oh god, that was bad because it was in the magazine and it was circled and it was pointed out as a bad thing to have. So then we can get very caught up in that, and so that exposure to such toxic body image and diet culture affects us in more ways than we care to imagine. And just a side note about cellulite, cellulite isn't necessarily a indication of how fit and healthy you are, because there's actually a lot of genetics involved in whether you've got cellulite. So you could be predisposed to having more cellulite on your body because genetically that is how you're built up, and you can't change genetics. But we're made to feel like it's disgusting, it's unnatural. Same with having some hair on your legs, and do you know what, TMI maybe, but as I get older, I totally care less about how hair free I am, especially my legs. Like underarms are a little bit more picky, but I'm busy and I forget when I'm in the shower, and it's not like the highest priority. There'll be times where that probably it's TMI, but I'll do it when I need to. But if I forget, it's no longer like, keep your legs. I went for a massage the other day and I forgot I hadn't shaved my legs until I'd undressed ready for the massage. And I had an inkling of like, oh my God, I need to apologise and say that I'm really sorry, I forgot, and blah, blah. And I was like, why am I even thinking that I need to apologise for that? Like, it's a totally natural thing. We have hair on our body. We've just decided as a society that we shave it off because women have to have no hair, whereas men can have hair. And so I was just starting to catch yourself out on those things that you're like apologising for, having natural things on your body, which we've been told are not natural. And that's like hair imperfections, where you've got spots, veins. I mean, when I turned 37, I apparently developed rosacea, which is an autoimmune condition. And so now I constantly have like redness and spots around my cheeks. And that's taken me quite a while to kind of get used to. Like, I always had acne when I was younger, and you feel like when you get into your 20s, even when you get to your 30s, that you're going to get rid of all that, the imperfections. But as it turns out, my skin's just giving me another one, and no doubt as I move into like perimenopause and menopause, I'll have other hormonal fluctuations, and particularly at this time of month, I get spots around my neck, around my chin. And for a long time, I was very, very self-conscious of that. I am still self-conscious of it, but I work harder on myself and how I treat myself, speak to myself internally, to not let this be like a value, make, all I'm worth. But that can be quite hard, especially showing up on things like this or on Instagram, and you're constantly having to put yourself out there. Thankfully, I've not got a big following, so I've not had the trolling yet, but this is all normal. And because we don't see that a lot on social media, we always see like the perfect skin, perfect makeup, perfect hair, perfectly toned look, no cellulite, pristine kind of people, that when natural things are shown, people are like, ooh, that's disgusting, that's weird. But actually it's normal. This is what we need to start to appreciate and advocate for, instead of just expecting everything. And now with AI as well, things can just be made to look a certain way, and it just takes away that realistic, like, this is a real life woman, this is what we look like, this is what happens to us when we have hormones, this is what happens to us when we have autoimmune conditions that we can't control. This is what our face looks like. So the poor body image and lack of confidence to wear certain items or to show up certain places, maybe even being photos, like I say, there might be some sort of deep-rooted work needed there, and it's not just going to be a case of put the shorts on, you'll feel fine. Because for a lot of people, this is years and years and years of negative self-talk. But what I want to get across is that when you stop caring so much about what other people think, and you focus on you, how do you feel? How do you feel in certain clothes? How do you feel in yourself? How are you speaking to yourself as well? Like I was talking about negative self-talk and being a bit kinder. But also reframing it to think about what is your body doing for you every day. So rather than, I'm not saying you're going to love every single aspect of your body, but rather than being so negative and critical about it all the time, start to reframe and think, oh, what is it doing for me? What has it done for me today? What is it doing for me every single day? And so that's why I want people to think about more of a focus on how your body, how it feels and what it can do, rather than how it looks. And that can be really, really freeing, and it's certainly the reason why I love strength training so much. When I talk about strength training, and maybe you'll see stuff on Instagram, you think you're just posing, you're wearing shorts, like, firstly, that's taken a lot of work to get to that stage of me putting those sort of pictures up, and, you know, wearing shorts to the gym, even wearing crop tops, you know, that's definitely new. But I feel really confident in what my body can do in terms of the strength. And so, yes, strength training, building muscle, there is an element of how you look, because, you know, you do get a bit of definition. You know, that toned look people want doesn't come, you can't tone your muscles, but you can grow them. And, you know, maybe I do like to flex my biceps sometimes, shoot me. But that was not a place I was at, you know, even 10 years ago. But as I have evolved and grown, because we all do, I definitely see it more as how it feels. So how I'm feeling, the functionality, the challenge that I'm giving myself, the challenge that I give my body, giving my mind, you know, I can't lift that, I can't lift that. Yes, you can, and then you do. And like, that's just one of the best feelings in the world. But it's the self-care and the health benefits in the process of that strength training or exercise as well. The fact that I'm building lean muscle mass that's going to keep me independent for as long as possible. It means I can get off the toilet, I can wipe my own bum as I get older. Things that you don't want to think about now, but actually, you know, are going to be really important as we start to age. I'm also protecting my bone density, so that as I start to get older, because women, bone density starts to diminish around 35, and then when you start to hit menopause and your hormones start to change, the bone density reduces even faster. So what I'm doing now is I'm protecting my bone density, and, you know, I'll maintain that as I keep going, because, you know, strength training for me now is just life. It's not a fad that I'm gonna fall in and out of, because I see the benefits of it. And that means that I'm not going to be exposing myself to osteoarthritis or osteoporosis, which means if I get older and fall, I'm less likely to break a hip. I'm less likely to, you know, need to have serious surgery, when the implications for that can be quite poor, like recovery time. But equally, if you have got a decent level of lean muscle mass and, you know, a decent level of bone density, if you were to break something, your recovery from that is going to be much better, because you've got the health around you, like the body health at the start. And it's also important for your metabolic health. So muscles are the biggest site of glucose disposal and storage. And what we need to consider is, as we age and, you know, generally life in day-to-day life, we want to make sure that our blood sugar levels are stable. That avoids us feeling like, you know, having highs and lows, or if you skip meals and you might get really hangry and you want to overeat. But also, if you have high blood sugar levels which are not cleared in a natural way, it can be put down as fat stores, can lead to inflammation. And if you already have a little excess fat anyway, it could be harder for you to clear that blood glucose, so you're more resistant to the insulin. You're more insulin resistant. So when you think about exercising and strength training in particular, it stimulates that muscle to take that glucose in for storage. So the more you do that, the more you're clearing, the more you're keeping your blood sugar levels stable. And that's something you want to have as you get older, because it means you're less likely to be predisposed to diabetes. You're going to have less other metabolic conditions, you know, thinking about cardiovascular health, things about strokes, I've said diabetes, think about cholesterol, blood pressure, all those sorts of things that as we get older we want to think about. And it's not just for like a few moments here and there, not, you know, like a little fad, like I said, it's for now, it's for life. And if I circle back to what I said at the start about wearing shorts more now than when I was younger, it's because I feel more body confident now, and I think I touched on that earlier. When I was in my 20s, even though I look pretty different, and I know I look different because I weigh more now, and, you know, my shape is slightly different, but I'm more comfortable in myself because I'm much stronger in my body, but also stronger in my mind about how I see myself and what I value myself as. And I think as women, what we need to do more of is adopt a fuck yes attitude. So we're not putting things off, kicking the can down the road, because we don't know how far our can's going to kick. if that's a phrase. But we need to really live life for the now. And, we can always pause, put things off, wait until, everything's perfectly aligned. But realistically, that's never going to happen because life is busy. And, waiting for that perfection means you're going to be waiting for a long time. So what we want to do is not put things off. Wear the damn shorts. It's hot. Your legs need to see the sun. And we as a society need to see more variety in legs. We need to see what's normal. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just human legs, all the imperfections. And get used to the fact that that's what bodies look like. And if it's not the shorts, might be a dress, might be a skirt, it might be a short sleeve top that you don't want to wear because you're self-conscious about a certain part of your body. There will be something that you are avoiding doing because you think it doesn't look normal or doesn't look the right way. And I want you to start to embrace more of a, how does your body feel? What are you celebrating that it does, instead of focusing on all those negatives. And what I want to also suggest is, if you're ready to reframe that sort of mindset about putting yourself down because you look a certain way, and start to build strength. So you're going to build strength in your body, but also you're going to build strength in your mind, because you just develop this big mindset shift away from that negativity, the hatred towards yourself, and you start to build yourself up more. And we need more women to be building other women up rather than pulling them down. Like going back to the Heat magazine, Circle of Shame, I mean, they were like female editors who were tearing other women down for the purpose of sales, which, is just disgusting, really. So whether you have a fat loss goal or you have a muscle building goal, maybe you don't know what your goal is, what you should do, join my one-to-one online coaching. Spaces are open. Like I say, it's online. You can do it from anywhere in the world, and whatever your goal is, we'll work there together to make sure that you get there. So I'd love to have you. Head over to my Instagram page, .embodymethod. In the bio, you will see an application form. You can fill that out and I'll get your information, see if we're going to be a good fit to work together, because it's important that we do have a little bit of rapport. You have to be invested in the message that I'm sending, and I want you to be ready to do this. So if you're ready to stop pressing that pause button, that reset button, you want to get the shorts on, you want to get the short sleeve top on, then come and let me help you get there. Have an amazing day, enjoy the rest of the sun, and I'll be back soon.